council. Meeting will now come to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recording secretary, please take roll. Ms. Dallas. Present. Mr. Carter. Present. Ms. Deep.
Present.
Ms. Sarmiento.
Present.
Ms. Benifer Castaneda.
Present. In closed session, the board voted unanimously to approve a compromise agreement and release an OAH case number 2021-100891. The agreement includes funds for special education services and fees in exchange for a waiver of claims against the district. Thank you. Item 10 is presentation. 10A is it to introduce and welcome the new employees. Dr. Hernandez?
Good evening. So we do have one of our employees here, and what I'm going to ask is when your name is called to please come up and receive your pen. I'm going to ask that the board president stay behind here for COVID protocols. So our employee is Alma Murillo, and she's here. So come on up, Alma. She is instructional assistant, special education at Lincoln Acres. And beautiful name. We'll take a picture, Alma. Ms. Murillo has worked as registered behavior technician for the Autism Learning Partners. She holds an AA in psychology from Southwestern College. So welcome, Alma.
Thank you and welcome. Item 11 is public communications. Public communications provides the public with an opportunity to address the board regarding an item on the agenda or other topic. Anyone wishing to address the board shall submit a request for oral communication card. Cards are available near the entrance to the boardroom and are to be submitted to the recording secretary. A member of the public who wishes to address the board on any such matter or matters is limited to 3 minutes for one matter and up to a maximum of 5 minutes for all matters. There shall be a limit of 20 minutes for any matters unless such time limit is waived by the majority vote of the board. Members of the public may not yield any time to other speakers. No board action can be taken. Do we have any speakers? Thank you. Moving on to item 12. 12A is to accept the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
Want to do it?
Sure. And have to see that.
All right. Item 13 is to approve the consent agenda and the routine items of business. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon in one action by the board. It is understood that the superintendent has recommended approval of these items. There will be no discussion prior to the time of the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda. All items approved by the board will be deemed as considered in full and adopted as recommended. Can I get a motion?
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Now, please vote.
The item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 14, 14A is to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on February 9, 2020, 2022. Going backwards. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Please vote.
The item passes unanimously.
Fourteen B is to adopt resolution 21-22.17 regarding absence of board member Ms. Alma Sarmiento due to illness. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I second.
Do you have any discussion? If not, please vote.
The item passes 4 yes, 1 abstain. Sarmiento.
Thank you. 14C is to adopt resolution 21-22.18 regarding absence of board member Ms. Maria Dalla due to illness. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I second the motion.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? None. Please vote.
1 second. Okay, go ahead. The item passes 4 yes, 1 abstain. Trustee Estrada.
Thank you. Item 14D is to cast vote for 2022 California School Board Association CSBA Delegate Assembly election. We're gonna do this one by one. So we're gonna go down the line. So if you have your individuals, it's the maximum we can vote for are 9. We don't have to do all 9, but the max we can move forward as a board is 9. So we're gonna start with candidate number 1. If you wanna vote for them, do you want us to vote on this thing? Okay. Marco, Amaral from South Bay.
May I clarify? Are you asking for all of us?
If you're gonna vote for them, we're gonna vote through here.
Okay.
For each of the delegates, you'll cast a vote. You can only cast a yes vote for up to 9, so there are more candidates.
And if we're voting no, we vote no, or we just abstain from voting?
You would vote no for that candidate, so you'll vote yes for 9, and the rest you'll vote no for.
So we're gonna use the voting, okay. So we won't have a first and a second, we won't have motion, so will that still work?
I believe so. Does it open your voting right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So may I ask for just like 2 minutes because we did get a couple extras, a piece of information just now. So can I just have 2 minutes to look over that new information? Would that be acceptable?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to feel a little more intelligent about Since they just gave us that information. Thank you.
Who's the,
It was a backside, so they didn't
Oh, it's the
get
front and
copied,
back,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so. Are you ready, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I know, thank you.
Ready, let's do it.
Thank you. We're gonna once again start, Marco from South Bay. Please vote yes or no if you would like to, bring his name forward. Okay, next one. Julie from Vista. Next. Three Maria from National School District. Next is Eleanor from Oceanside. is Michelle from National School District. Next is Humberto from San Isidro. Next is Rosina from National School District. Next is Kiki from Del Mar Union. Next is Tamara from Home Valley. Next is Marla from Encinitas. Next is Claudine from Carlsbad. And last is Lucy from Chula Vista. Okay, so we do have 9. We have Marco from South Bay. We have Maria from the National School District. We have Eleanor from Oceanside. We have Michelle Gates from the National School District. We have Humberto from San Isidro. We have Rosina from the National School District. We have Guy from, and I hope I'm not saying that incorrectly, but from Del Mar Union School District. We have Tamara from Cajon Valley, and we have Lucy from Chula Vista. Is that what you have?
Yeah.
Okay. That was first try. Yay. Okay. Thank you. Moving on to item 15. 15A is to recognize National School District schools for their participation with the California PBIS Coalition for Implementation of Positive Behavior Interventions and Support PBIS within their schools for the 2020-2021 school year. Dr. Brady.
Yes, so good evening, board members. We're very excited to have a recognition tonight for our positive behaviors and intervention support medal winners at our school sites. If you recall in the past, we've done a presentation with our principals coming and we've had the medals here. In preparation, we had anticipated doing something similar to that, not too big of a crowd, of course, because of COVID. But when we were preparing for this board meeting, we realized that they had sent the medals already directly to the school sites, and the school sites had already done different various forms of celebration. So we still wanted to recognize them tonight. So we've asked Ms. Lisa Dreyer and Ms. Cece Garcia from our Student Support Services Department to come tell you a little bit about what goes into those recognitions for positive behavioral interventions and supports. And then to recognize each of the schools for their level of achievement so that when we go out and you see them, you can congratulate them as well. So I'll turn it over to the lady.
I don't know if this is on. Are we on? There's a button on the back. On the back of the microphone?
There we go. Maybe. Oh, that's better. Okay. I could use my teacher voice, but this was nicer. So thank you, Dr. Brady, for that introduction, because in an abundance of caution with the pandemic situation, California, as we know, has been very careful about how we proceed with our typical traditional, our traditions. And PBIS and recognition is definitely one of our longstanding traditions throughout the state of California and across the country. So when we learned that the principals had received their letters of recognition, their medals of recognition, they had already posted them in the schools. We wanted to do a little virtual celebration here tonight, but next year we're hoping to have more of a celebration in person with everybody. So these are for the 2021 school years. And just wanted to talk a little bit about the purpose of PBIS. It is a coalition, and it really is a network. It's a network for our state education leaders, our county offices, our school districts, and our school teams, and helping them implement multi-tiered frameworks throughout the school system, focusing on the positive behavior intervention and supports. It's not really a strategy, a script. It's more of a framework and a philosophy and a school-wide implementation. And the network is to help create the opportunity for the implementers, those of us with boots on the ground with students and families, help us do that effectively, implement that across professional learning communities, and they have access and support to professionals, to other leaders who are doing the same things in their school districts and even in different states. So it's just a big network that supports all of us doing this work together. And I'm going to let Cece talk a little bit about the criteria, because there are different levels of awards, and what does that mean?
All right, thank you. Before I go into the criteria itself, just a couple of definitions to help us know and frame the reason behind it, what she talked about, but also what the tool is used to be able to determine fidelity implementation. So the tool is called a tiered fidelity inventory, and this is a way to measure the schools and how they're implementing PBIS to fidelity, positive behavior interventions and supports. There are 3 tiers within that framework, and in those 3 tiers, we have universal, which pretty much covers the whole school, so all students in the student body. Then we have targeted, and that's a smaller percentage of students who might need additional supports. And then we have intensive for those students who need extreme supports or more supports within the system. So this fidelity inventory takes a look at school teams and how those school PBIS teams are implementing, and they look at 3 different areas: the teams themselves, how they're organizing, how they're organizing their work, implementation, the actual implementation of PBIS, and then finally evaluation. And so this information, of course, supports the team. So once they do this tiered fidelity inventory, and we have some partners with the SELPA that support the teams in that inventory and kind of gathering that data, then we get to the percentages here. And then this is where the network recognizes our schools. So the bronze tier is, so tier 1, so that's universal, and we're looking at least 40% fidelity or higher. Then we go into silver, so we're looking at tier 1 at 70%, and it sounds a little low at beginning, but coming from a school site myself, 40% to be able to get that kind of implementation and fidelity with PBIS is a task. So it looks low because we think different percentages, but these are the percentages that really show fidelity. Then we have the gold, and so they're at tier 1 at 70% higher, and tier 2 with 70% higher, tier 2 or 3. And then of course, the gold standard, actually the platinum standard, is you have tier 1 at 70% or higher, and then tier 2 and 3. So you're looking at the full implementation there at 70% and higher. All right. So that gives you some ideas of the tools.
So, I'm sorry.
What's me?
It's me. Okay, so I'm gonna start with our bronze awards. So this is the criteria, the 40%, and they're not here, but Ira Harbison, yay! Thank you. And And then we have the Silver Award. So this is our next group. This is Rancho de la Nación for Silver Award. And we got a Gold Award. We got our Kimball School with a new leader and everything, but this is from last year, but they're at Gold, and we are very proud of Kimball.
And then this is like really amazing. When we look at the criteria, this is impressive. So our platinum schools are Central, El Toyon, John Otis, Las Palmas, Lincoln Acres, Olivewood, and Palmer Way. When we are out and about visiting schools, please congratulate them and the teams. And we were able to get a few pandemic pictures to add to the festivity of our virtual celebration for these teams.
I can see the smile.
Under the mask. Yeah, you can see it in their eyes. They're so proud. They're so cute. So it's nice. It's a great partnership with the SELPA, and there's a lot of support and clearly a lot of investment to see these levels of awards for our schools. And there's some more. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation.
Madam President, may I? I'd like to congratulate all our schools and for all their effort and the wonderful participation in this, the PBIS. But when I see you in person, then I will congratulate you again.
Thank you. Dr. Brady?
Yes, I just wanted to thank Lisa and Cece for being here tonight to celebrate our schools and thank the board for your applause. I know that people can go back and watch the video of the board meeting and know how much you support these efforts. And one notable piece of information is there are very few school districts in the state of California that have recognition in all of their schools. A lot of times you see pockets of implementation. To get to, you saw the criteria, the platinum level is really difficult to get to. And so if a school district has one school at that level, that's a huge accomplishment. You see how many schools, we have 7 schools and all 10 of our schools being recognized at PBIS. So district-wide, this is a system that we've invested in and that we're achieving in. And like Cece was saying, coming from a school site herself, just getting to that first level of implementation is really difficult. So on behalf of all of the executive cabinet, we're really proud of our staff out at the school sites. We're proud of our principals, the 2 principals who led this effort last year, the 2 schools, Kimball and Las Palmas as well, for our new principals that are coming on and picking up the ball and continuing this work. And we know that it benefits our students. So thank you for taking the time to recognize these efforts at the board meeting. We appreciate it.
Yes, I'd like to thank and congratulate all of our school sites and all those that, definitely put the effort into ensuring that we are doing what's good for our students. And once I do have the opportunity to visit all the sites, to congratulate them in person, because it's very meaningful for us to see all of our schools being recognized and know that we're doing good for our kids.
I will say, as someone who is at a school that has implemented PBIS, it is not easy because the goal is that there's cohesion across the entire school. So that when you talk to a student about being safe, they have already gone through a lot of training and lessons on what it looks like. What does it look like to be safe on the playground? What does it look like to be safe in the bathroom? What does it look like to be responsible when you're in the cafeteria? And so just the commitment of principals and teachers to actually go through the lessons on a regular basis, and then for all staff to return students' attention to what they've already learned. And that's just your universal level, not your tiers 2 and 3. And so it is a full commitment on the part of everyone. And this is nailing it. So that's fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to give a shout out to all the principals, because I know it's not easy, as my Mrs. Gates saying. Also, I just want to recognize other parents, how they support the kids. This is extension what they learn at school. And it's a great accomplishment. And the students, when they see that recognition on the school, they feel proud of what they did. It's a collective effort. So we're not going to congratulate all the students that they got to, because it's not easy for them, but it's not easy for the teachers either. So congratulations to all of them.
Just wanted to also add, we recognize our parents, our students, principals, but we also need to include our counselors, because they're a major component of this whole program, and without them, it's not entirely possible. So thank you, all of our counselors out there, for everything that you do, because we are, as a whole, we are at one team, and that's what makes us one. Did you have something?
Just reminding you, if you'd like to look at us, and that means your voice isn't going in the microphone.
Sorry.
No, I'm just, I'm
It's not
sorry.
even now period, so I apologize. I have to look out and tell them next time we do this. Okay. Okay, do we have anything else that you guys would like to add? Okay. Thank you once again. Moving on to item 15B is to approve the Comprehensive School Safety Plan, CSSP, for each National School District elementary school in the district office for the 2021-2022 school year. Dr. Grady.
Yes, I just wanted to remind the board that these plans are always a work in progress. We don't wait until the March deadline to start our plans. That just happens to be the time that the board has to acknowledge that you have access to these plans and that you can look at them at any given time. We always update our plans for the beginning of the school year. As you know, we trained on our plans at our fall, right after the fall break. These have been signed off on by our police department and our fire department as well. They've looked comprehensively at them. The board has received a confidential link, so you can go in at any time and look at these plans, but we do ask that you don't share this link out, because it does contain confidential information. Any member of the public that would like to review our safety plans just needs to go to the school in particular that they'd like to see, make an appointment, and they can view the public version with some redacted information. So just a little bit of background. And again, as we learn, like we had we had an evacuation just today here at the district office. We'll be debriefing what went right, what needs to be updated, and then we'll go back and we'll update that plan as well. And so just so you know that the process is never finished, Dr. Hernandez does sit on the school safety committee and for the district, and we talk about all of the needs that we have. And again, we use these as work in progress documents, but this is kind of that official acknowledgement that we give to the state of California every year.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the Comprehensive Safety School Plan?
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions, discussion, anything? Okay, please vote.
And it passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 15C is to amend agreement CT 3882 with Expectiate? Whoops. It's like a tongue twister. Expatiate Communications Inc. to participate in the ITAP software program in collaboration with the South County Special Education Local Area Plan, SELPA, and the San Joaquin County Office of Education. Dr. Brady?
Sure, just to add a little bit of background to this, this started as a pilot, and we are asking for approval to continue the collaboration through the end of the school year. It is at no cost. The cost is being covered by the SELPA. And the other part of the amendment is just to change the language that it was a pilot to now being a program. So there's just those two amendments to extend the time, change that language because it's no longer a pilot. But The benefits of us participating in this is that this is predictive software. So we put in some of our test data, it becomes a dashboard, and it gives us some predictive analysis on how our students with special needs might do by the end of the school year. So that at any given time, we have in the moment data that tells us if our students are on track or not. And so this is newer. That's why we were asked to participate in the pilot. We think it's beneficial to see if it's going to give us that extra look so we can make adjustments in real time for our students to try to keep them on track as they move forward. And then we'll reevaluate at the end of the year. If we were to continue this moving forward, there might be a cost, but for now it's free to us, paid for by the SELPA.
Thank you. Can I get a motion? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Approve. With discussion.
Bella?
Yes, I have a question. The end date of this agreement is June 30th, 2023, but you said that it will be reevaluated at the end of this school year, 2022?
I do see that. I know that Ms. Dreyer's here. I believe we had talked about ending this in 2022. Not it, but I do see in the attachment, it also says 2023. So we did receive this from the SELPA. And I believe Dr. Kraft was under the impression it'd be 2022. So
Do you want me to make a substitute motion?
yes, and we'd like to bring it back if we're going to continue to 2023. So yes, I would love a subsequent motion.
So I'd like to make a substitute motion to approve this amendment with the end date being June 30th, 2022.
Thank you.
I'll second my second.
I have a motion and a second to include the correction to the end date of June 2022. Do you have any additional discussion?
And end date 2023.
2022.
Okay, even though it says
That was the whole discussion. She said it was for the June 2022.
20. Gotcha.
I guess I am wondering why both papers do say 2023. That, I'm guessing that's also Grover.
Well, the backup to the contract was written based on the backup. So the new end date for the agreement will be June 30, 2022. So it will be reflected in the agreement.
That is correct. And I believe the SELPA had requested to have it be until the end of 2023. And Dr. Kraft said we'll reevaluate at the end of 2022. And I don't know that the change got updated, so we apologize for that. So thank you for the subsequent motion. If we continue with it again, we'll bring it back to the board for a new approval.
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, just wanted to make sure since it was in both places.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to, with the correction of the end date of June 2022. Any additional discussion? Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 16, Human Resources. 16A is to approve the 2022-2023 school year work calendar. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion? Okay. If not, please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 17, Business Services. 17A is a presentation of the supplement to the 2021-2022 ALCAP annual update. Mr. Avanesian?
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
So this is a new report that's required by the state. It's the first time that has been done and introduced to the board for presentation purposes only. We won't be taking any actions tonight. This is basically a mid-year snapshot of where we are in terms of our LCAP spending and all of our other one-time spending, including things like ESSER, the federal stimulus funding, state stimulus funding, all of that we tried to wrap up into one to present to the board on where we are in terms of spending. We're going to concentrate more on spending rather than programmatic questions tonight. This is just an update on where we are in terms of implementing these in dollars and cents. So we're going to look at our goals in terms of our LCAP. Really, all of our. Thank you, Brian. Oh, there we go. Now I hear myself. We're going to look at our goals for our LCAP. Our LCAP goals really drove all of our plans. The LCAP goals are something that we've implemented throughout the district at all of our school sites and the district office. That's where we concentrated all of our spending and our goals. That includes our ESSER 3 plan, our ELOG plan. Each goal, our goal 1, English learners will acquire English at a rate that will enable them to acquire English language proficiency, redesignate, and continue to achieve grade level academic expectations. Each goal has an action. There are 5 actions for this goal. I won't read all of the actions, but for this goal, we budgeted $1.5 million. Currently, we've spent 1.1 million of that 1.5 million, remaining total of 418,000 for the rest of the year to spend on this goal. Goal number 2, increase academic proficiency for all students through a multi-tiered system of supports framework that advances the global competency skills of communication, collaboration, creativity, and problem solving needed for future success. This goal has 6 actions. We budgeted $5.8 million for the year. Currently, we have $1.6 million in spending, with 4.2 remaining for the fiscal year. Goal 3, expand collaboration and engagement with parents, families, and community partners to increase equity and access to learning, including English learners, foster homeless youth, and low-income students. There are 2 actions for this goal. 368,000 was budgeted. We've had 66,000 expensed and 301,000 remaining. Goal 4, provide an integrated multi-tiered framework of support that incorporates differential instruction, social emotional learning, and positive behavior intervention to improve individualized student outcomes. These are 4 actions that were tied to this goal. We budgeted 2.4 million, 412,000 was spent so far. 1.9 million is remaining. Goal 5, grow capacity to provide effective instruction through cutting-edge technology, personalized employee training, and expanded learning opportunities. There are 5 actions tied to this goal. 3.1 million was budgeted. So far, 594,000 has been spent, with 2.5 million remaining. Goal 6, promote student engagement and achievement through supplemental services of upgraded facilities, low class size, employee excellence, and transportation. We have 4 basic actions for this goal. 7.6 million was budgeted. 723,000 has been spent so far, with 6.9 remaining. These are one of the goals that will involve a lot of transfers near the end of the year when we're closing the books. So this is kind of misleading, the 6.9 million.
I'm going to ask you what you mean by that.
Meaning it's being charged elsewhere in our books right now. But when we go to close, we'll apply those charges to this goal in terms of accounting. So when we post these the goals themselves aren't necessarily have their own accounting stream. The expenses do. So when we go to close, we'll go and charge those expenses to these specific goals to show. So in the future, if we want to pull a report to show how much we spent on this goal, it'll be tied back to how much was actually spent. Right now, in terms of our general ledger, these expenses may be elsewhere in our general ledger, and we'll have to go and transfer them to these goals.
Why not encumber them to this from the beginning?
Because it doesn't perfectly align. The only thing that the budget was based on was the LCAP. This plan includes like ESSER 3, it includes ELOG, it includes all those other one-time funds that as we approve those, we have to update the budget. These figures are from first interim. We will update second interim to be more accurate in terms of what these plans show. So this number of 723,000, the $7.6 million budget, maintenance, we have maintenance in our LCAP that we allocate towards that. Maintenance is usually charged to 8150, meaning the resource 8150 for ongoing maintenance. We normally charge all of those kinds of expenses and look at what's remaining, and we will charge this goal for that. So it's on paper, it looks different until we actually go and take those actions and transfer those expenses. That's to put it in simpler terms.
Is this the only goal that applies to, or are the others similar?
For the most part, it's only this one, just because of it's tied to so much personnel expenses and facilities expenses. The other ones are more easier, just because there's specific positions that we fund with those, or specific actions that we take. But this goal is different in terms of we're looking at mixing it with our other resources, but also it includes a large amount of employee costs that kind of are funded through multiple resources, which this would be one of the resources that funds it, but we do that accounting work at the end.
Thank you.
And finally, goal 7, promote student engagement and achievement through broad course of study and innovative learning programs. Again, there's 4 goals for this. We have budgeted 1.6 million. So far, we don't have any expenditures tied to these actions. But again, once we bring the second interim, which we'll bring in March, these numbers will change. But we will actually know how much of these goals these actions we've taken when we look at our budget at the end of the year, but also our LCAP, and seeing what actions we planned for, what actions we took, and what's remaining as far as carryover. Any kind of carryover in the LCAP this year will be part of next year's LCAP. This is a broad overview of the budget. The last time we brought this was the parent mid-year review. So at the start, I believe it was in October, there was a parent review of our budget. This includes LCAP money, local control accountability plan, local control funding formula. That's how we are funded through the state. It includes all other state funds, all other local funds, all federal funds. So basically all funds coming from any kind of resource from the state or federal government. At our adopted budget, we had a budget of $69,935,000. Amount per budget act. So as of right now, with the changes throughout the year, we are actually looking at $79,841,029. The difference being $9.9 million. These updated figures will be part of the second interim.
Sorry.
That is my last slide.
Yes, I just wanted to jump in and kind of address a little bit about what Trustee Dalla was talking about earlier about encumbering. So one of the things we've been talking about with Mr. Avanesian is building a zero budget, starting from scratch, seeing we have a lot of line items in our budget that have been used traditionally in other ways. And as our funding changes to be the LCAP and all these one-time monies, those line items, the way the budget's been built, doesn't fit maybe some of our current needs. So we're talking about rebuilding the budget from scratch and starting with a zero budget. So that's a huge undertaking, but something that we're working towards doing as the one-time money starts working its way through our system. We're going to be ready to launch something like that. The second thing is we've talked to the board about this in some of our previous budget workshops, but we always try to use our one-time money first because we know it's going to sunset. So where you might see we have zero expenditures in our LCAP, it may be on this slide that we receive some one-time money that also covers that same type of expenditure. So we're going to use the one-time money first, then we'll dip into the LCAP, which if we don't spend can be carried over into future years and help with our reserves to then prolong things like layoffs as our enrollment declines. And then finally, it would be ongoing money that we would spend. So like Mr. Evanescen said on that last goal 6, it's a little misleading. I would probably apply that to all of the goals in the LCAP because some of the expenditures are not truly what we're spending in those areas if we're spending them more in the one-time money. So this last page really gives you a big overview of how much money we're getting, how much money we've spent, how much money is remaining overall, and then it'll be more allocated at the end of the year. But again, it's because we're trying to use the one-time money before using the LCAP money.
So with the one-time monies that we have, there should be quite a bit of money left over in the LCAP. We should be carrying over quite a bit.
Yes, and did you want to address that?
You're welcome to. There should be. We've funded many positions that were originally created for, basically for the LCAP to take on the actions in the LCAP. With the ability with these stimulus funds, we are able to pay for those positions through these one-time funds, which would allow us to use those LCAP funds for other reasons or carry them over and carry on new actions in the future years. But definitely we want to make sure we're spending our most restrictive money first. LCAP is restricted, but it's not as restricted as our federal funds. So there will be carryover. I can't say for certain how significant it will be, but there will definitely be LCAP carryover.
I have a question regarding goal 7. Because you still said for service expenditures because the national 16 weeks of STEAM education for the kids, that's coming up in March, or is just something is projected for goal 7? This is launching in March again, right?
The 16 weeks of STEAM?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anything like that can be funded through this goal.
Okay.
Even though it says, like, so our Olivewood Gardens and Learning Center, where they're coming out and they're working in our gardens, that is I think we have $70,000 budgeted in goal 7 for something like that, those expanded learning opportunities. The reason it says 01 is because this is based on first interim numbers, but also because we're trying to use those one-time dollars first. So it's not that we're spending zero, it's that we're spending zero LCAP dollars at this time because we have other monies that are paying for those expenditures. So we're still keeping up with everything we said, with the exception of maybe we haven't done as much with our parent groups this year because of the pandemic. But I would say that's probably the one area we could do more.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you for that question because it does look very misleading, like we're actually not supporting and doing the work of the district. So it would be nice to be able to maybe have a comparison like what we've been using for one-time money. I know we get that information and we know that it's happening, but we don't want families and the community to feel like we are not supporting the students of our district, and that's quite the opposite. We want to provide as much support to ensure the quality education that they deserve.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that because that because it might be misleading that communication because this is an ongoing since last year and it's effort that they've been doing not only for Olivewood Gardens. There's a lot of vendors out there that are in the collaborative. So thank you for clarifying that.
If I could just add clarity, we are going to be hosting our LCAP workshops, and so we'll ask Dr. Kraft to do a little bit more of an analysis in terms of comparing the one-time dollars versus the LCAP dollars when reviewing our progress on the program goals. So we'll add that in, and maybe Mr. Evanescence can do a few slides this year at the LCAP meetings with.
Yeah, we, working with Arena Cower, we have created a spreadsheet that looks at all of our actions that we had planned at the start of the year and how we're actually funding those actions. It is a very large spreadsheet. It's very hard to put that spreadsheet in a presentation like this, but definitely we'll work on how we could communicate that information better.
Thank you. Yeah, thoroughly support the science and that, and that's a really beautiful collaboration. So I'm excited about it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll move on to item. Have a seat. Item 17B is to approve a one-year extension for the contract CT 3563 with Cox Communications, Inc. for telecommunications, data circuits, and internet services. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And a second? I have a motion and I have a second. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. This is for all district, right? All the schools? Yeah, I had the impression when I first read the article that it was just for the district office, but thank you.
That is correct. It's for the entire district, all schools, plus the district office.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, that the E-rate doesn't fund for our preschool or a district office. So that's why there's two different rates there. The E-rate funding is just for the school sites. And then the district funding, 10% is for our preschool and for our district office.
Thank you.
Yeah, the E-rate funding is basically a federal program. They pay for connectivity. They will only pay for student connectivity.
You would think that they would see that the preschool program, but how do we communicate with their students? Well, hopefully that will take into consideration.
I know that we aren't the only district that utilizes Cox. And I know that over time, they have made a concerted effort to get connectivity to families, computers in homes, and that it has been a very positive program that has had direct impact on students and their families. So I'm looking forward to continuing this.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. If no additional discussion, please vote.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 17C is to approve contract CT 3923 with Soul Transportation for transportation services. Mr. Evanescence?
This agreement is for Soul Transportation, which is a private transportation provider to transport our students to non-public schools that reside. The schools are outside of our district boundaries. And also their vehicles are equipped for wheelchair accessibility. Their vans are. Our vans currently cannot accommodate wheelchair accessibility. We did have a van and we are unable to repair it currently. But also this will help in terms of our current situation, in terms of our driver shortages for the rest of the fiscal year. Right now, we're looking at 2 routes that go outside of the school district boundaries, which does create sort of a bottleneck in terms of what we're able to offer within our boundaries. So with this agreement with Soul, they would provide transportation for our non-public school students. But also it will be through the fiscal year, which is through June, and we'll only be charged for the transportation, if the transportation occurs. And also if there's a call out, meaning if the student says they're not going to school that day, they have to give at least a 4-hour notice prior to calling out, otherwise we will be charged. But it's not a fixed fee contract, it's only for services unless those kinds of circumstances come up.
Thank you.
Mr. Albanese, you said that, we do have a van, but that we were not able to, repair it at the moment, and may I ask why?
Correct. We have a van that has a wheelchair lift, but we've exhausted all options to repair the lift. We've tried every which way to try and repair it, but we've just been unable to. At this point, it's the money we're putting in to try and repair it is no longer worthwhile in terms of the age of the vehicle and just our inability to keep the lift working.
So it's not a matter of buying a new lift, it's a matter of buying a whole new van.
Correct.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
Um,
Can I get a motion
Move to approve the contract with Soul Transportation.
and a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. We have discussion?
Yeah, I just had a question in piggybacking on Mrs. Della. Were those repairs attempted in-house or was it sent out for repairs?
We've tried both. We've tried in-house repairs, we've tried outside repairs. This van has been a problem van for a while now. But
Problem just with the lift or with other issues?
with the lift itself, yeah, it's mainly the lift. It's just, we're unable to keep it operational.
Okay, I was just curious because there's a place a block away from the National City Police Department that installs lifts on vans. So I was just curious as to, where it may have been sent and if it's possible just to replace the whole lift.
We could explore all our options, but as of right now, our need for the transportation is immediate.
Sure. I understand
But
that.
we can explore any and all, we will explore any and all options, because as long as the vehicle is running, we want to make sure we utilize it. And if it comes to the point where we utilize it without the lift, we will. But as far as ongoing repairs, we will try to find, we'll use any local repair shop that we can, but we have basically tried and exhausted all kinds of solutions. But it's just an unreliable vehicle.
I have a question because that, once we have the van with the lift, brand new, adapted to transport kids with necessities like that, so we'll be not using this contract that we're approving tonight, that we're gonna discontinue, we're gonna continue using Soul.
For the foreseeable future, for this fiscal year, we would like to continue using Soul. The lead time for purchasing a van with a lift, or any kind of van, to be honest, is months in the future. So if we were to put an order in today, we probably wouldn't expect to get a van until October.
Okay.
But what we're looking at right now is any and all options, meaning we could work with our bus sales, like Creative Buses or anyone who sells a bus. We're asking them to see what kind of inventory they could find in terms of a vehicle like this. But right now, the lead times are really far into the future.
Okay, so this contract will be for 6 months, for 1 year, until we don't no longer need it, or it will be a
Oh.
renewal
It will end by July 1st.
by July? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So we're approving this contract to end through June 2022. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Please vote.
Yeah, it passes unanimously.
Thank you. Board Communications. Board of County Communications, Mrs. Dollar.
Well, I just wanted to say, thank you to the fifth graders and Mrs. Silva's class at Kimball School for sending their letters. I love reading student letters. regarding the recycling of juice and milk cartons. I love that they were speaking up for the environment and for the world, to make a better world for everyone. So thank you and congratulations for doing that. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate you on your employee. It's nice to see new faces and they're really encouraged and cherish our students, especially on that area. And also I would like to congratulate again to all the schools that they got awarded for this. This is a great accomplishment for all the schools. And I can see the faces of the kids when they go to school and then they're proudly saying my school won a prize or an award. So I would like to also thank all the delegates and I'm hopefully expecting that we all got together and keep advocating for our children. And I would like to give a big shout out to Dr. Brady because yesterday she launched the parent engagement and special roundtable and parents. It was a great turnout and thank you for that. It was a really emotional meeting that we had last night and I know I saw her taking notes and that's a very good action step to take and I want to congratulate you personally too. And on behalf of those parents that were engaged in conversating and expressing their concerns and the cheerfulness and of course there's room for improvement a lot, but there's a lot of things that we can have to be proud of what we did and we're going to continue the effort. Thank you so much. And also I would like to, what else I have here? I will look forward to keep working on that one. And also thank you for all the central school students that are moving forward with these facilities and we're gonna keep it here from the future. So hopefully we can get Dr. Brady a surprise for us. Thank you so much. Have a great night to everyone.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank Las Palmas. They welcomed me on February 10th. And it's a little bit of a homegoing for me after spending 4 years teaching there. But I want to thank them for letting me steal ideas, Mrs. Trzynski, because she is challenging her students with not only some books and different authors than who they have been used to in the past, but one of the fun things was they wrote on the window some of the quotes that really caught their attention and that they wanted to dig into. Apparently the kinders called them out for graffitiing. So that cracks me up, personal joy. And so I stole that idea too, because the kinders are not too far. Well, the first graders are not too far from me. I'm really hoping to get called out on graffitiing on my windows at school. I also had the privilege of seeing Miss Jordan and Miss Vicencio, both of whom taught my own children, as I walked into their still in third grade rooms, still faithfully teaching students. One of the things I truly love and appreciate about National City teachers is their faithfulness over and over throughout the years. I'm not going to tell you how long ago it was that Miss Jordan was Carissa's teacher because she might not be happy with me. I also appreciated meeting with the office staff who are juggling so many things as new jobs and responsibilities have come up. Our attendance clerks, they're killing it out there. Really just working to make sure that that our students are at school, they're being tracked. Everybody who's involved in that, I'm just thankful for it. And Las Palmas really showed a fine example of what National City schools are like. Congratulations for our PBIS. My first experience with PBIS was Kim Tobias's CPR circles, where she encouraged students to raise a concern, to give each other praises, and to take responsibility for themselves and their actions. And that was in 2007. And from what I know, she still handles her class that way and calls them to be their best. I agree, Kimball. I love the fact that our kids challenge us all the time, you know, and the curtain recycling is one more time where it's something that we do every day. They're drinking milk every day, guys. But they actually turned around and went, oh wow, wait a minute. What are we, but what's happening with this? We can't
be casual. We have to be intentional. And they're calling us to that. So we just have some great examples to follow. And there are students and our staff and our teachers and our families setting that role model for us. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you. I'd like to piggyback on the congratulations to our schools that were recognized by PBIS. What an accomplishment. It's absolutely incredible. Also welcoming Alma Murillo. What a beautiful name she has, the Instructional Assistant of Special Ed at Lincoln Acres. Welcome, Alma, wherever you are. Also, I was speaking to one of our city council members, and they have a real need to fill vacancies on their boards and commissions. So anyone who, most of them need to live in National City, but not all of them do. But I know right now they're looking to fill a position on the library board. So I want to throw that out there to our educators. If anyone lives in National City would like to serve on the library board, they really need to fill that vacancy. Also, there's a challenge at the National City Public Library to read 100 books. I believe it's by December. I'm not sure of the deadline, but if any of you would like to sign up or know anyone who would like to sign up, I think that's a great opportunity for our kids. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Abernathy?
I just want to take a moment to thank our custodial staff. I think they do an amazing job, and basically they just put their head down and do their jobs and do an amazing job. I challenge anyone to find a cleaner school than our National City schools. They're extremely clean. Every time we walk, I never see any litter. I never see any spills. It's always a pleasure to walk on campuses. It's a really easy motto, clean and green, which our campuses are. So I just want to thank our custodial staff. They've been doing an amazing job even throughout this pandemic. They've been doing an amazing job. And I just want to give them recognition for the work they've been doing. Thank you.
So I'd just like to welcome our new employee. We haven't had a lot of new employees, so it's always nice to bring someone on board to our NSC family. And then I would like to thank the transportation department. We did have an opportunity to visit them this week, and it just always reminds me how important our bus drivers and our transportation student attendants are, because that is usually the first person that students see. And they can really change their day for them and make it into a positive day. So I really do appreciate just the hard work that they put into our children, and that they're just so dedicated to our students.
Yes, I'd just like to start by saying congratulations to our 3 trustees that were nominated tonight for the delegates. And good luck to you in the rest of the voting. Love to see you serve National School District at the CSBA delegate level. Like Trustee Dalla mentioned, I too received some letters from the Kimball students, and I was able to visit their class to acknowledge those letters on the first day that Mr. Lopez started as principal. And he listened quietly, and they were very excited, telling us all of their plans. And he responded by saying, "Sure, I'll let you do that, as long as you do it in English and Spanish. We're a dual immersion school, so your posters will be in English and Spanish. Your presentations to the other classes will be in English and Spanish." And so he's, from day one, reinforcing that expectation that students will be proficient in both languages. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of their progress in English and Spanish. And I'm going to have to practice my Spanish so that I can keep up with them as well. I do want to say thank you to President Betancourt Castañeda for attending so many of my State of the Districts. I know Trustee Lizarraga has been there as well. I think we're about halfway through. We've done over 10 now. We got another 12 or 15 to go. But take a look at my memo, and if you can jump on one of them, or they're all virtual, we'd love to have you come. And I did have fun visiting Las Palmas with you, Trustee Gates. My favorite was the picture where Michelle stood under her picture and looked up for the first time as seeing trustees at the school, and that was a neat experience. You mentioned, Rosina, that we had our first diversity, equity, and inclusion parent roundtable last night. It was really focused on how do we promote the ideas of culture, identity, race, and heritage in the National School District. And we asked the parents to engage us in a conversation of where we are doing well, like what successes have we had, and where could we work. And it was overwhelmingly positive, which I went home, you never know if people have had a negative experience, but we tried to make it so that they could share. We asked several times, it's okay if you want to share something that isn't completely positive, but everybody came from a very supportive and caring way when they offered any types of suggestions. And mostly it was really, really positive of the experience they're having. So we're going to have our next one on March 15th. We're doing it at 4:30 to 5:30, so people have a chance to get home from work but not interrupt their dinner time. And we'll be talking about belonging and inclusion on a daily basis. So we'd love to have board members join us for that. That will be in there. Yep. I do want to say a special recognition to one of our employees. She's a campus student supervisor at El Toyon, and her name is Shirley Smith. Shirley took the time to print and color 13 of the most influential African Americans of our country for the students to learn about during Black History Month. And every day during the morning announcements at El Toyon, each of these persons' amazing accomplishments are highlighted, and then they post the picture that Shirley has colored and taped it to the windows of the auditorium for all the students to go and see. And so if you visit El Toyon, you'll see this collection of very influential African Americans to celebrate Black History Month, but led by one of our very own campus student supervisors who took that initiative. So just thank you to Shirley Smith for her leadership in that area. And then finally, I'd just like to end by saying that Read Across America is coming up. It's coming up next week. We'll be doing reading both virtual and in person. We'll have in-person readers limited to district staff, organizations with current board-approved contracts, which are NCPD, which is our SROs, Olivewood Gardens, Ocean Connectors, BCK, and REACH. They all have the clearance to come on campus. And then we're going to invite our parent leadership from PTA, School Site Council, and ELAC that are currently cleared to be on campus to read in our classrooms if they have their volunteer application cleared. Last year, in honor of Read Across America, all sixth grade students were challenged to a contest to write their own picture book worthy of publication. And this year, I'll be reading the award-winning book from last year, as you might recall, Saudade, right, by Mitzi de la Cruz from Ira Harbison, who's now in the middle school. If any board member would like to participate in Read Across America, just please let us know and we will connect you with a school, or you can respond directly to any of the invitations that you may have received. And then I will be challenging the sixth graders again this year, and our local National City librarian has committed to taking the entire collection of books that we've built up over the last 5 years and cataloging them into the existing shelf of books. So our students' books are going to live among the authors that are bought in the National City Library. I just think that's an incredible opportunity and super exciting. So just wanted to share that. Yes, it's Ann DeFazio is the principal librarian, and then her Joyce, oh my gosh, is the director that oversees the library. I'll think of it. I'll just shout it out. Sorry, Joyce. Ryan, thank you. Joyce Ryan is the director that oversees the library, among many other things at the city. But Ann DeFazio is the principal librarian, and she's made that personal commitment. So we're ordering the books. You'll get a copy of last year's book as soon as they arrive, and they'll be in your mailbags delivered to your house. And if they're in time, you can read to any grade level that book as well. Feel free. The only caveat is that is the same book I'll be reading to the sixth graders, so just if you choose to read the sixth grade. And then, of course, happy birthday, Vanessa.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Well, I will try to be brief, as I try to all the time, but it is not work out. But wanted to first congratulate all of our schools for their PBIS awards. It's always amazing to be able to support and acknowledge all of the hard work that's being done in our school sites. And it's not just one group, it's all of our groups together. And we're talking, like we said, the students, the parents, staff, everybody that's on campus that supports our students. Thank you, Dr. Brady, for having committed to the virtual this time. But the state of the district, it's nice to be able to see the parents that are engaged and the questions that have come up, and not just with our parents, but also our staff. It's an eye opener because sometimes they bring up questions that we may not would have ever thought of. And so it's very important for us to be able to have that dialogue and that communication line open so that way we can help and better serve our district. So thank you. I know it was a big undertaking, but I know that our families and our entire community appreciates that extra work that's being done. Thank you to our Kimball students for the letters. It made me think, like, wow, that is a lot of yeah. And so I hope that we can commit to our students and help support the efforts that they are trying to save our environment. Welcome to our new employee, Alma Murillo, to our NSD family. And let's see. Thank you just to everybody for all the hard work. I know it's coming down to getting close to a break, so we're probably like needing some rest. But nothing that is done it doesn't go unnoticed. It is definitely valued. And thank you. And happy belated birthday to Vanessa. I know she celebrated her birthday yesterday, but thank you for being here and all the support that you guys give to both you and Jocelyn over here. I was going to say her last name, but I'm saying Vanessa. For all the support that you guys provide to our district and us board members. Thank you and have a wonderful night.